We moved across the country 2,000 miles with only $5,000 and nope.
So we sold all of our things pretty much in our apartment. I already made the decision to come. Didn't tell anybody. We fasted. We're just kind of fast forwarding. So we shared this in one of our other videos. And this up here. You have to check that video out to hear more about that, how we initially got here. But when I first got to LA, I was in awe. I was digging where we were. It was a nice apartment complex, very crowded. But I didn't have a job. I was doing multi-level marketing. You didn't have a job. We were here, sharing space with my brother, and we had to help him pack, right? And move into that apartment.
We did. So our brother was already living here. He stayed in a 1-bedroom apartment, him and rest in peace Imani, which was the dog. He didn't even take us serious until actually we were moving to the trucks were going to be on the road headed his way. Then he had to realize, okay, now I got to hurry up and get out this part, because that was not our initial plan when we went to LA. Our initial plan was going to be to stay in a kind of cozy up in a 1-bedroom apartment while we would live in the living room until we found a job, and then we'll make a transition to our own place. We got there. He wanted to do more where we just rent share. He wanted to split the rent. And so with that there, we got in our first roommate situation in California. With our first $1,200 spent.
Yeah, apartment living is not cheap in LA. And
that was 10 years ago.
The apartments were pretty decent. They were pretty nice. They did a lot of renovations after we got there. Of course, they changed names and everything, but it was nice. It was. I liked it. And just crowded. If you've never been to LA, or if you're here, you already know it was crowded, and that was something else that I had to get used to. I was not used to looking for pedestrians to cross the street like at every corner and having to really pay attention to the color painted on the curve. So for me, a learning experience was, these are all the things that some of the little things that I didn't know until my brother started telling me when we got here. Pay attention to the streets, the signs, the color of the painted curves. That's stuff that people need to know, because when you get in LA, and if you don't know this, you don't know that the curb is red and you can't park there. You come out and your car is either towed, booted, or you got a ticket on there. So that's something that I would have wanted to have known. And what else?
I wish I would have known. I would have liked to know when you come from the South and come to LA, your hospitality barometer changes. You're in the South. Well, in Atlanta, before we moved, it was still a lot more, people wave. It changed a little later. But I would have liked to know that these people ain't your friend. This is like New York to a degree. It's not hospitable, not LA per se. I would have liked to know California has different rules of LA. We have courtesy. There's no courtesy. Not a lot of patience in Los Angeles.
Yes. You cannot stay at the red light. Move your hand. You cannot stay at the red light. A blink. You blink your eye, somebody is honking. And these are all the things that I had to get used to when I first got to LA. I didn't want to even drive. Brian was like, you scared to drive? I did not like driving in LA because I didn't have the patience and the tolerance, because I was a driver that was going to let you have it regardless. And it was just like, oh my God, they honk. People are always honking at you, and you got to... Not
patience. It's not really loving. It's not loving.
But it grew on me. It grew on me. The more I drove, the more I got familiar, the more I knew the things that I needed to pay attention. It grew on me.
We say in Atlanta, when you do a bunch of honking in Atlanta, you liable to get somebody to come out and step out with a weapon. People don't play about a whole bunch of honking in Atlanta, which that was the complete opposite rule on the other end of the country. They lived by it in the city of LA.
Yeah, but I don't like it either way. So being there, getting acclimated, then we learned that we saw a little creepy crawler. And
two different creepy kinds of creepy crawlers we saw in that apartment, and it wasn't cheap. That wasn't a cheap apartment.
No,
we hadn't had a lot of experience with rodents. That was not our outlook. In Atlanta, you don't have a bunch of rodents unless you're in the hood.
True, but we started seeing rats, and I was like, mice.
We saw
mice. They were very small.
We started seeing mice, and who saw them first was the dog.
Yes.
She would be in the middle of the night petrified.
Paralyzed.
And mind you, it wasn't cheap. We were in an area called Koreatown. It was right next to downtown LA, so it was not cheap in price.
No, Wilshire was the block in, and I would have to go
That's
So
the main
we-
expressway. That's the main street when you think of one
Wilshire
of the main
was
streets
one of the main streets that
It'll take you all the way up. It'll take you all the way to West LA.
Yeah.
To the beach. You can take it all the way to the ocean.
You sure could. Straight to Santa Monica.
But we moved, so it's a reality check. You come in, we don't know about living with someone. Also, we've never lived with rodents. Rodents, I think really was one of the things that pushed us to the edge a lot quicker to not wanting to keep this living situation up and going.
Yeah, it was. Plus, we weren't really city people. There were a lot of things that we had to realize and we had to outweigh. And we realized we were not city people.
We're not city people.
We didn't live in the city in Atlanta. We were further out. So, you see that ant crawling?
I see them back there. I'm just letting them do it.
So we realized that we didn't really like living in LA because we weren't city people. We don't like being around a lot of noise. We don't like hearing a lot of action when it's time for us to lay down and go to bed. I want to be able to go to sleep. So that was another big thing.
That's the first time, LA was the first time we encountered two unique smells that we have never smelled. The smell of a skunk spraying, the skunk spray, and the smell of meth or crack coming up to your window.
I smell crack
because
before.
we were close to downtown LA. Yeah. That's on the bottom of the porch. What's that burning smell?
Oh yeah.
Because where we lived, you got to think this is still
city.
No matter how much you paying, you still got a hellified amount of homeless that are right around the corner, and
it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah, now it's different.
But it was still something that we had to adjust to because we weren't around homeless people, in Atlanta. We didn't see them as much.
No.
Because there's homelessness in Atlanta as well, and was when we were living there. But it wasn't right in your face.
Yes. So the living situation. So a reality check letting us know if you come from the South and you come from LA and you like city life, then it'll work out perfect for you. But if you come from the South and expect and have a Southern mindset and you don't like the city, LA is going to be a nightmare. So it is. That's like you come from the South and going to New York. If you don't want the city life, don't go to those parts.
No. And you just got to be willing to pay for what you want in LA.
Correct.
Period. Can you move your hand? You got to be willing to pay for what you want in LA.
Yes, because LA is one of those cities that one block costs you, a one bedroom apartment can cost you $7,000. The next block over, you're Skid Row.
For real.
And they living free on the street. LA is I realize it's a very segregated city. It's very segregated.
I remember people saying that.
It's this block if you're rich, this block you're poor, this area if you're middle class. The rich separate themselves, which is the Beverly Hills area, those Westwood area. There's a clear distinction of the have and have nots kind of city. They monitor, they have their own police force, they have everything when you live in those parts. The rest of LA just get whatever you coming to you. And the homeless, you can in Beverly Hills, when you cross over from LA, just from regular LA to Beverly Hills, no, it was in the elbow. Cross over to LA to Beverly Hills, you will immediately see that you can have a homeless person on the block right here, but as soon as you hit the Beverly Hills side, the police will not let anything out the way to be. So it's very segregated and separated on wealth class in LA. It's only a wealth class. You have it or you don't in that city. Whereas in Atlanta, you can be middle class, you can spread out, you can be over here, you can be over here. This might be a little bit expensive, but you can still be over here. LA is a distinct, you're gonna afford it or you can't.
Yeah.
That is one of those cities. Keep going.
So when we left LA, we were there for like almost 2 years. How we learned about the place that we moved to next after leaving LA was wanting to go to the farmer's market. Looking out, Brian was driving out and we just talked about wanting to shop at a farmer's market. So there we was like, oh, this is nice. And we just kept driving further out. I was like, wow, this is really, really pretty out here, really mountainous. So we decided to relocate to a different city, which is our current city now, so we're just not saying it. But we relocated to a different city and more space. It wasn't crowded, pretty. People spoke back. They waved. It was just like pretty much living in the suburbs, kind of.
Because basically people, when you live in LA has a mindset of it's only LA. But when you get outside of LA, you be like, oh, there's something beyond what I've seen, and it's a lot sweeter, and the people are nicer, and it looks cleaner and pretty.
Yeah. Now, this place was a condo. How many square feet was it?
Six something. It might have been like 638, 640.
It was kind of small, but it was really nice. Everything was nice and modern looking. We were on the very top floor, and the view was the selling point. We had the best view. It was just nothing but like a mountain view, and you could see the city. And at night,
It was gorgeous.
the lights would just be lit up at the bottom, but it was still dark, and you can still see the skyline. That's what sold us. Our owner, he was really, really cool. We liked him, and it was nice. We enjoyed living there.
Mindful, it was a bigger change for me per se, because I worked at UCLA, and now I live all the way in a city that's an hour and 20 minutes from UCLA. So it was a big change for me, and it was a big distance shock. But whenever it was what was so amazing is when I would get out here, I would feel like I was home. When I was in LA, I felt like I was in this foreign land of this place, which I loved the school. I used to love UCLA, but that became the only thing I really cared for in the city of LA, is going to the school, because the school was beautiful, and I just always grew up wanting to go to UCLA when I was a kid. So the school was amazing, but when I come home, I felt home. I was like, this feels like...
Yeah. After we moved in, realizing we needed more income. I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like it was my true calling and passion, and I started, feeling sad. I was like feeling depressed because I was
doing the multi-level.
No, I mean I enjoyed the multi-level marketing. It just wasn't bringing me in the money that I wanted it to do.
Okay. What had you feeling sad?
Not pursuing my music.
Okay.
Not doing the music, not really, rapping and putting my heart in that. And that's when I reached out to my mentor, and I became part of a community and started learning about true entrepreneurship, what it meant. And then I was like, okay, we talked about it. And I was like, okay, what about if I can quit the job and just pursue music? Did that. And I will say, if you don't really have a savings, I don't think it's the wisest thing to do. It can create a lot of unnecessary financial stress that you don't have to create. Now, in the beginning, because that's going to lead us, and that's going to be a different video, but how I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have a stash. If you don't have a stash saved at least 6 months to a year, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
So what do we do after that? Okay, so he said, yes, you're going to do your music full time. Then we're going to have to reduce our living expenses, and made a decision that
Man,
we didn't pray about that.
No,
even though I got a dream that God was showing me what it was going to be like in the next place, I didn't even realize that that's what that was. Yeah, why don't you tell them about
that
it?
part was tough. Let me tell you.
Your decision.
That was my decision, my fault. I take the lead as the head of the house. That I wish, if I would have done it again, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. So basically, I told her, I said, okay, we're gonna drop off. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all see this hand keep going right here. I'm kidding. So after she said she wanted to do that, I was in complete disagreement with her for a minute, until I finally said, okay, well, I tried to look at the options of what if she does do that and it works out. So she left her job, which I'm gonna say it was a temporary job. It wasn't like something where you had to be fully committed to it.
Right.
So
it wasn't something that I wanted to be. It was a career in. So yeah, it was a job.
Yes. So I said, okay, we're gonna drop our expenses. We're gonna do this. We need to move. We might need to rent a room from somebody, because now we still got credit cards. We still got car payments. I think I had a motorcycle payment. I think we still had bills. We still had bills and debt. And so I went on the hunt for a room to rent. So we sold all our things again. I found a couple. Well, and I didn't know there were a couple at the time, but I found a lady that was willing to rent her home.
Because it's just like my own tired. Yeah.
I found a lady that was willing to rent our space. Never again.
A room.
And not only was it a room, it was damn near half a room. It's probably about the size of this car on that side.
That room was so small.
So
I don't even know how we did it.
So we went from $1,500, because that's how much we paid at the last place where we had moved from, to being able to pay this for this room $800. Well, we had not done the rent a room to strangers thing before. We've lived with family as we did in LA, but we've never lived with strangers. I only say rent a room if you are in a dire situation. I'm just saying, I'm just being real. Unless you got a bunch of roommates, guys, or people that you know, if it's somebody, a stranger, only do that if your situation, that's only option. That wasn't our only option. That's what I thought we needed to do so that we could still make it according with our bills.
You got to be able to vet people, and you cannot do that on a one sit down meeting situation. And one thing I wasn't comfortable about is having our food in a separate refrigerator outside.
It was in the garage. It was a refrigerator. They had separate refrigerator in the garage where the car is at.
And she probably still will go in there
and look in there at your food. We didn't know that she lived there with she had a boyfriend. I don't know, if that was her husband or whatever.
That was her husband, I think.
You're right. They were married. That was
her husband.
Listen, when God showed you early to have faith, listen to him, and make better sound decisions, that was that one. If I had a picture of what I just said, it would show me in the dictionary, looking incredulous. The first day I met this person, I went to her house to see the room. Me and her are talking in the living room. I didn't know that she had a husband. He come in the living room, and we're standing at the door, looking at me crazy, and he looked at her like, who is this? That one moment should let me know.
I wasn't there, because if I had been there watching that, it would have been a no-go.
It would have been no-go.
She would have got in the car and said,
I
would have quickly said no. And if I probably had met the lady myself for the first time and even peeped her vibes,
you would have said no.
I would have.
You would have said no
on that initial trip.
The dude almost was ready to. For 2 seconds, he was ready to get down because he's thinking that this woman is cheating on with this gorgeous black man. These are black people, mind you, too. I don't know where they were from Compton.
You gotta pray.
And
you gotta pray.
But I saw this situation because the house was so nice. Her house was nice, and her pool was nice.
Can be deceiving.
And it was very deceiving.
Child.
It was very deceiving. So basically, an end result, I don't know if you want to give all the details of that.
No, well, end result, it was a situation where it went to the left, and it was nothing but the grace of God that, kept it from being into a physical situation. And after she and I had a disagreement, and it was like, oh, okay, no. We went back, I think, it was some holiday was coming up, but the Holy Spirit, that's why being plugged into God and really the Holy Spirit, I think I had a dream, and he showed me what was going to happen, which they were having some type of party or celebration or something that was going to happen.
And we had already fallen. It was already kind of like at the end.
I wasn't speaking to her. I didn't want to say anything to any one of them.
No. You had that fallout, and then shortly after the weekend, they went and had a party where she told me how she had already had some conversation with us and told her how some of her family could be, and that's what she invited, a party.
But I think I had a dream, but we weren't there. We didn't experience any of the party because we knew ahead of time.
We knew ahead of time, but then she also let us know prior something.
I don't remember
about her
that.
Family. She did when we sat out and we had a conversation with her, and we're sitting out there on the outside. She talked about coming from a hood situation. Some of that was like gang stuff and all that. So it was a mixture of certain quality of people that Brian and Joy cannot be around. And actually, we felt like what she was trying to do was it was already over. Whatever. We were looking for a place. Our stuff was kind of packed up, and we were already trying to find somewhere else to go. But she wanted to decide to say, I'm gonna forget these people. I'm gonna have a loud music, a party, and people that are low quality. I think what she was trying to do is trying to get something spun up to where somebody have.
I don't think. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it went that
And
way.
on top of that, she moved in a family member, and throughout this small window of time that we lived there, she moved a family member in upstairs that ended up stealing from her. The family member that stole from this person said, oh, it was your people downstairs that stole from us. That's what really started sparking stuff when the person that she brought in stole from her, and then she blamed it on us and said,
and did
we take something?
Right. And we never had been, we don't go through people's houses and all that. We stay in our space, do what we got to do, and we out. But also, Another red flag in the very beginning, and also you got to pay attention to these red flags. Another red flag in the very beginning was she wanted to be friends, you know, and we weren't really feeling and getting personal thing with somebody who we were renting a room from. We wasn't on that vibe, and I just didn't. I don't know, something in my spirit just wasn't, you know, quite settled all the way with them. And I was even telling him, I don't know how long this situation is going to be, but I don't think this ain't it.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
And
you still were a behavior therapist.
Yeah.
You hadn't ended yet.
right.
You're getting ready to.
Yeah.
You had just did it.
A behavior therapist. But when I said, and that's where I think things really, that was the prerequisite before all of this, because that led to the fallout. When I said I wasn't going to, I told her, because we were cool, I told her, well, I quit my job part-time, and I'm going to really pursue my music, because she supported it and all of that. Lo and behold, soon after that, it was like she and I were outside on the patio furniture that we brought and gave them. It was like, oh, hold on.
Y'all had that conversation. She got up and walked over.
Yeah, she was like, oh, hold on. Let me, I'll be right back. And she went in and was talking to her husband. And was like, okay, after that, I think we had to sit down and the conversation went to the left. And it was like, it was time for us to go.
Because she was saying that everybody in your space had to
work. And we were like, as long as you're getting your rent, it didn't even matter.
And then she want to change the amount. It was something she wanted to change on the rent. She wanted to raise it because you were no longer. It was a whole bunch of bull crap.
And we didn't have AC.
And she didn't want to run the air conditioner. And we tried to put a portable AC, and she had a problem with that.
And then eventually her husband came down and said, you know what, it's okay. She'll allow you to do that. We were like, yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah.
It was time. So after she and I had our disagreement, I was like, yeah, no, it's done.
And then on top of that, between that same window of time, she had moved her niece in to stay with her. Niece stole from her, blamed it on us. She come down and wants to confront us about possibly. She found out it was her niece and apologized. Yeah, that's too much turmoil for roommates who got their own thing going on over here.
Yeah, she was using my pots and pans. I would come down. I was like, and then I'd have to put stuff in the refrigerator because if we didn't have any space in the back, I was like, I do not feel comfortable.
And overall, basically, it ended abruptly, badly. Basically, we had to get out. Leave our stuff in the room. We dipped off, went and stayed to a hotel, got a game plan together.
The guy that moved us in, we had some movers. He was like, he was glad he was picking us up.
I'm glad I'm getting y'all. I'm glad
I don't know what vibe he had, but like, look, you should have told us because you let us move to put our stuff in now.
Because he was a part. We hired them prior to our first move, so they moved us into our own place, and then now they moved us out of our own place, and they moved us into that apartment. So after we moved us out, he was like, I'm glad for y'all because this is just tiny. Y'all, this not for two adults. So basically at that point, we had to go find us a hotel. We stayed, how long did we do? 2 weeks? We did it was about 2 weeks.
Was it? I thought it was longer. No, we stayed in one hotel.
How long was that?
For about a few days.
Then we found another hotel.
And then we went to a different hotel for 2 weeks, maybe longer.
2.5 weeks. It might be 2 weeks, close to 3 weeks. So the next situation arose. We found another Airbnb. We were so happy.
Oh my gosh.
It was a larger house.
It was nice.
Brand new. The house looked like maybe only built a few years ago. But
larger room.
And maybe said that was a 5-bedroom, I would say. 5-bedroom, but every room was occupied with other renters. So it's not like now we're in a situation from it's just the owner and us to now the owner doesn't live there, but it's all occupied by other tenants. Jesus, that was just as bad.
That's why you got to pray and get clarity.
Yes.
You have to pray and be still and allow God to really order your steps. So we go from LA, which was a pretty good situation, just the rats and not really feeling the city, to the place that we enjoyed, and we should have stayed there and still could have still lived there because it still wasn't that bad compared to what you thought you were saving all the times we had to move. And we really spent more.
And it's strategically, if I would have just done some things different, it would have ended all the things that was making it more stressful.
So I definitely would say, you need a plan.
You do.
You need to be solid and not move abruptly and listen to God first.
Yes.
But the next place was
Worse.
like The Walking Dead.
First,
The mindset. I'm just saying the mindset.
Are we going to all the detail there?
I mean,
we could just give them just the overall synopsis that it was a worse situation. I would say that situation ended up being worse than the first situation.
Because you had some
other people.
Yes.
You had a lot of other dynamics and demons in those living in those rooms.
It was one couple that was living in another room.
Two couple. They were around the corner and the two double doors.
And then you had the Indian guy that was in his room.
Then you had the
younger couple, that was downstairs.
Then remember, there's a black guy that had moved in.
He came later.
Oh, he was later. Okay.
Yeah, he was later.
Okay.
But for the majority of the state, it was I forgot his name.
We ain't gonna say names.
Mm-hmm. Then you had this couple.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the young couple.
Mm-hmm.
This older couple here would feel sorry because the young couple wound up getting kicked out.
They got kicked out.
He was on drugs bad, and I guess they didn't have the money to pay. So they were getting evicted, and they didn't want to leave. They had nowhere to go, but they had to leave. So the people upstairs kept leaving the door open
to let them crack, so that in the middle of the night he would leave the door open so these people could come. This guy person could come in.
It wouldn't be just where it's unlocked.
Open.
It's where the door is wide open. You got a wide open door, and you got people that's living in the house sleep, and you don't even know the door is wide open.
Gee, you know how many times? And thank God we used to keep our room locked, because that was a prime way to get robbed.
And it was just nothing but God's hand over us. And then it kept happening. And then we I'm gonna say something. I had to be very vocal. Then I had to get on the young lady who was owning the house, because we were going back and forth with Airbnb. Yep. It was like, yeah, this is this living situation is not safe, and we're not, because you had to pay in advance, and we were rent wise and
it was just stacking up.
Yeah, and it was just like somehow we wound up in that situation because we found an apartment.
Oh, praise Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
In the city that we're living now.
I will always be grateful for that apartment, because it changed the game.
It did. It just was like out of nowhere. And what I think about LA too, about California, is they have buildings.
We were paying for the entire apartment cost the same price.
It was much bigger. One bedroom, but it was very large, and it was an apartment building. It
was an old unit. If you see in LA, they have a lot of these. Like in LA, you see a lot of these old looking apartments. It was way older, but it was very spacious and
an older building.
And just us.
Yeah, and it was pretty decent price. And it was how many apartments? About
9 units.
9 units. Everybody was cool.
It was very family oriented. Everybody knew each other, and nobody bothered each other. Well,
except for one, your people.
Another one of this.
Your people. Always had some problems with your people, but
once he was evicted, he was kicked out.
He was horrible.
That became like a the apartment became like a peaceful spring.
And I don't understand how the people was dealing with him and his nonsense the whole time.
That was the difference between coming from the mindset of how people were in LA and then how they would be outward. Outward would be they're a lot more friendly out here, and a lot more people will deal with things more so than they would probably in LA, where people are gonna holler, hoop and holler. People just deal with it. Where we weren't dealing with nothing. I ain't dealing with nothing.
By now, I have quit the gig. I'm working on music, part of this community. Recording, going to the studio. Yep. And we are good.
City, technically,
our original condo.
It was in our condo. Yeah, we could have stayed there, but actually, financially, things got a lot better after we went through all that rigorous. Technically, we probably didn't have to go through that rigorous. You just move straight to that place.
And sometimes, less is not always best. Less cost, because look at all the stress that we added just because you was trying to save a few bucks. When we really could have thought and planned this and planned it better and made some adjustments, because we still weren't paying LA prices. I paid about $300 more than what we were paying to split rent with your brother. Right, split. So I'm saying we weren't paying the dolo solo amount of what our apartment was in LA from where we were. Yeah. So it was still, to me, it was affordable. Yeah. Our living expenses were mild. Did we have 2 cars then? Because we had got rid of one of the cars. Because even and that had worked out even better. You had gotten a car accident with our first Lexus, and
we end up getting another one for half the price.
Yeah, but
so that all worked
there.
out. So
yeah,
we
that
had
was before we moved into.
So when we moved into our that situation ain't working out, that apartment, we had one car. She's still good and still with us since, running well.
Yeah. So we moved with $5,000, little plan, and that's what happened.
Yes.
So fast forward to where we are now, back in the city of where we really wanted to be in, and we like it. We like it. It's work, but would I do it again? Yeah, but different.
No, I would.
I would do it again, but I would do it different.
I would be, yeah, I agree. Different being, I would have go from A to A. I wouldn't have had to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It would just A to A. It would have beeline straight to here, from here to here. None of that in between stuff.
So lesson learned would be to have a plan and also give yourself a few options.
Mm-hmm. Give yourself several.
And if you want to pursue your dream, have a savings, have something to the side. Or if one person
or a
is
job, or you gotta have a job,
or keep working,
or you gotta have a full-time job.
Or if there is one person that says, okay, you know what, you can take this amount of time off, and I'll cover things. Still plan that. And say, okay, I'll let you do this for a year. Mm-hmm. And if after a year, if things aren't picking up, or after 2 years or whatever, then I'm going to want you to be able to bring in this amount of income.
Correct.
That's what we didn't do. So I say have a plan and then discuss many different ways you can run your plan.
I think that's the key. Mm-hmm. Run the scenarios through.
Yep. Have multiple scenarios so everyone will be clear and know that when you are pursuing a dream, it's not a straight line. So when you make the plan, each person really needs to be clear, but you don't know. You've never, done entrepreneurship, and everybody can't do entrepreneurship because it ain't for everybody. Yeah. It is not for the faint.
I'm a worker, but I have to do both.
It is not for the faint at heart.
Yes.
So you have to really know that it's going to be a zigzag line.
That's right.
All right, amazing people. This was good.
Yeah, it was.
And we'll see you in the next video.
All right.